Connector. We are connecting neck to pelvis in our awareness today and seeing how it can help reduce neck and back tension and also make your sitting easier. We're going to start on your back, checking in to see how you feel. If there's a tendency of your pelvis to rest maybe more towards one side, or maybe one shoulder is giving more weight than the other. See what's there. Go ahead and bend your knees. And the idea for today is that we are going to begin to tilt the pelvis in different directions. First, see what it feels like, how much of a space is there underneath your back as you're resting with your knees bent. And if we think of a clock underneath the pelvis, 12 o'clock where your navel is, tailbone is 6 o'clock area, the clock is facing up, so 3 o'clock is the right hip and 9 o'clock is the left hip. We're going to begin by bringing the tailbone up towards the ceiling, which rolls the pelvis towards 12 o'clock and the back flattens. Stay in a comfortable range, meaning make the movement smaller if it doesn't feel comfortable, and breathe as you go. So we're allowing the breathing to support the work so that we're not going into defense mode. If there is pain, you make the movement smaller and smaller until you can breathe and not increase any pain. Feeling what the bones are doing and not trying to squeeze from the muscles. There's nothing wrong with doing abdominal crunches, but that's not what we're trying to do here at this moment. And resting. Checking out what you observe here in the rest. Making sure that you weren't holding the breath. You are huffing and puffing, that'll give that away. Now you're going to take the tailbone downward towards 6 o'clock, which arches the back. As you can see here, that's creating more of a space. As the tailbone goes down, feel how your own back arches. And again, be careful with this one. For a lot of people whose lumbar muscles or low back muscles are overworked, this one can be tough in the beginning, so you may have to start very, very small with a micro move. And that's perfectly wonderful. Less is more when we're doing this work anyway. So the more subtleties we do in the movement, the more the brain can pay attention. So feel what that's like. Tailbone goes down towards 6 o'clock, which arches the back, and just notice how each side of the low back arches. And then rest when you've done that several times and you felt the low back lift. As you're resting, you may notice some changing in where you're giving weight. Wonderful. Bring the knees back up, and you're going to roll from 12 o'clock where the tailbone goes up and the back is flat to 6 o'clock where the tailbone is down and the back is arched. Again, going as small as you need to be responsible for yourself and feel good. Here, you're going to go at your own pace. Going faster doesn't mean you tighten the muscles more. So if you feel the muscles tightening, you go as slow as you need to. You're breathing as you go, and you're paying attention to the changing shape of the spine. So it's kind of like a flow of motion. As we flatten the back and the tailbone goes up, notice what happens with the neck. Chin goes away from the chest, and then as the tailbone pushes downward towards the floor, as we move towards 6 o'clock, that arches the back, and the chin actually comes down towards the chest. So the flow goes through the entire spine all the way up to the neck. If your neck isn't moving, that means you're guarding through the neck and you're holding. So try to let that go and allow the pelvic tilt to flow all the way up to your neck. Tailbone is up, chin follows. Tailbone goes down, chin follows. So you're not doing anything on purpose with the neck, but you're allowing the support of the bones to flow up through the whole spine. Good, go ahead and rest. This actually can change the disc pressure at each level. It massages the tiny, tiny facet joints that go alongside all of the vertebrae on the sides. And just observe how you're resting on your back now. I feel a little more centered. I was a little bit off to the right when I started. So this is a great way to begin to rebalance. Have you roll to your side, find your way up to sitting. Or if you're on the floor, peel yourself away from the floor. Find a chair now. And as you're sitting on the chair, you're going to notice your weight underneath your butt bones. Feet on the floor preferably. You can do the same thing we did on your back here in sitting. So you're going to roll the pelvis backwards, which rounds the back. That's moving towards 12 o'clock. You roll the pelvis forward, which arches the back. That's moving towards 6 o'clock. So same thing we did lying down, but it's going to feel totally different in sitting. What I want you to pay attention to is as you roll back towards 12 o'clock, feel what happens to the chest. As you roll forward towards 6 o'clock, feel what happens to the chest. When you roll towards 12, the chest collapses a bit. When you roll towards 6, the chest lifts. This is actually where finding your center, finding that balance between boop, we don't want to sit slouched, and boop, we don't want to overwork those lumbar muscles. We want to find somewhere right in between. When you're sitting for long periods, you want to kind of do these little movements to help loosen up those vertebrae. It will shift the pressure at the disc and also kind of massage those tiny facet joints all the way down the spine. So it can ease sitting strain and also improve your awareness of how intricately related the neck is supported by the whole spine, and that the power really is in the pelvis. So good sitting posture is not so much throwing the shoulders back, it's more, where is the pelvis? If the pelvis is hanging back, I'm going to be slouching. If the pelvis is more forward, I'm going to be more upright. That's where our true strength comes from the power in the pelvis. This is lesson 1 of a sequence of lessons that is the beginning of some foundation work with the movement work that I do. So for happy sitting, I suggest you practice this lying down like we did, and also sitting. Stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.